Hello my darlings, tonight I'm bringing back my most viewed Aizawa story so far. Do you hate yourself? This one is one of my personal favorites because it was fun to write. I hope you enjoyed the second time just as much as you did the first time. But before we delve into this is a reread, and because of that it gets slightly less views most of the time. Please watch the video until the end, like or dislike, comment something down below. If you're new here, hey, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon if you think I'm worth it. I have a Patreon and a merch store, both links are down in the description. And share the video around because we all know YouTube doesn't do that. But again, please do it so I get a better standing of the YouTube algorithm, so that maybe at some day I actually do get my videos recommended. To help you encourage to do that, here is the cute animal picture of the day. Let's get right into the story. Life wasn't really nice to you. Somehow you had found yourself in a rundown apartment with cheap furniture your grandma would call tacky, a closet filled with unmatching second-hand clothes, and horrible neighbors who, even though they could not spell the word hypocritical, would perfectly fit into a dictionary description of that word. Of course, you yourself weren't perfect either. Your ex-husband was a violent sociopath. You were warned by pretty much everyone to not go with him. But there was this nagging, unconscious feeling deeply hidden inside you. A sadness. A wish. The wish of utter self-destruction. In truth, you just wanted the right excuse to end it all. Because of this, you were diagnosed with depression, social phobia, and other things that had long names attached to them. In these days, the only contact you really had were the local cat population. Your quirk, ironically called Cat Lady, allowed you to manipulate the behavior of felines through the use of music. This included singing, humming, and any item capable of creating a rhythm. The louder, the more cats would be attracted. While this quirk would have some uses in the world of heroes, your parents could not afford the high education necessary to further your ability for anything useful. However, your dad had owned an antique shop that had an old piano in it, which he had given you lessons on until he eventually managed to sell it when you turned 12. It was also in this apartment you had taken a handful of the pills your therapist had prescribed. And also this apartment you had returned to a few months later after a long and tedious hospital stay. After returning home, you decided the first thing you needed to do was play your piano. It had come with the apartment, and was actually the reason you were interested in the property to begin with. Your fingers danced across the keys, still remembering the right strokes to attract the local cats. And soon, there were multiple meows coming from your balcony. With a soft smile, you went into your kitchen to grab some of the dry food from inside one of the cupboards. Slowly, you proceeded through your balcony door. Outside, the night stretched across the skyline. Rain slowly drizzled from a thick layer of clouds. The only thing distracting from the sound of the endless pitter-patter of rain were distant police sirens, and of course the meowing of your cats. You had just finished up filling your first of the 3 food bowls when your doorbell rang. With a heavy sigh, you turned on your heels and slowly trotted towards your apartment door. After opening it, your mood immediately went sour. In front of you stood Akira, the sleazy guy from the apartment in front of yours. He was wearing his signature cheap leather jacket. Open, no shirt under it. At least tonight he was wearing underpants. From his open door you could barely make out the silhouette of a very skinny woman who was rubbing her naked body all over his furniture. Akira was a somewhat known drug dealer. Too small for the police to bother these days, but big enough to have a bunch of coked-up girlfriends who would pay him large sums for whatever he was selling that day. His unnaturally handsome face was distorted into an angered form. "Are you out of your fucking mind?" he bellowed. With each passing word, his voice got louder. "We all had it with your bloody cats!" By now he was getting so loud, even the coked-up bimbo in his flat stopped moving for just a split second. Usually when seeing the guy's face, your body filled itself with anxiety. But something was different. Maybe it was your near-death experience. But anger bubbled up inside you, and a calm voice retorted. "If you don't change your tone right now, you'll be going back to your whore with a broken nose." "Don't you dare tell me about my fucking tone! After all, it is okay for you to play the fucking piano of yours in the middle of the fucking night!" Once again, you couldn't peel your eyes away from the girl in his flat. She seemed to have found a bag of regular baking flour and was right now snorting it through her nose, cackling like a girl who stole her mother's cookie jar. "Do you think anybody cares about your stupid cats? They're a nuisance!" Your mental barrier was faltering. You could feel it. If you didn't disarm the situation, you would be faced with a mental breakdown. You just knew it. You quietly inhaled, and then simply said, "Go fuck yourself, Akira," before slamming the door into his face. Your heart felt like it would jump out of your chest, and you sank down on the ground, back pressed against the hardwood door, before a loud bonk indicated he went back to his unfinished business. With a heavy sigh, you stayed on the floor until your heartbeat returned to normal. But your turbulent night wasn't over just yet. Just after getting your bearings and entered your living room, you noticed a shadow on your balcony. You turned with a perplexed look on your face. The shadow. It was a striking young man with long black hair and a scar under one of his eyes. You tilted your head in confusion. If he was a robber, he would have already entered. So would a killer. And it didn't seem like he was carrying any weapon. The way he patiently looked towards you filled you with more curiosity than fear. With only a slight hint of fear, you slipped open the glass door. "So, you're finally out, huh?" His voice was deep and clear. "Who are you?" was the only thing you could think of as a reply. He chuckled, half-smoked cigarette in his mouth. "My name's Eraserhead." You rolled your eyes. "What's your name?" He smirked. "Not allowed to tell civilians as long as I'm on patrol." You crossed your arms skeptically. "And what is a pro-hero doing here anyways?" He took a drag from his cigarette. "See you when you come home from your little incident." You raised an eyebrow. "The pills," he finished. "Were you the one calling the ambulance?" Anger was bubbling up inside you again, but you didn't know why. Were you holding a grudge for surviving after all? I was. You should have kept your door closed. I wouldn't have gotten suspicious. You scratch over your right cheek. What the hell does that mean? He grinned. Your apartment's on my patrol route, and your glass door was closed. And you only close it when you're outside, which you definitely weren't at this time of day. No, you were the one chuckling. All by it being sarcastic. So you're stalking me, huh? He shook his head. Nah, I'm supposed to protect people, which means I notice these kinds of things. Can I have one? He asked while pointing at a smoke. From somewhere in his belt he summoned a pack. With an appreciative thanks, you took one out. While you were searching for his lighter, you put the butt into your mouth. There we go, he said before lighting it. You took a deep drag and then leaned over the balcony's fencing. Have you been checking up on my apartment daily? You asked after a few minutes. Not daily, he began. Once per week, so I guess more than 5 times. You smirked. Time didn't fly by in the hospital. I stopped counting after day 20 and just accepted it. So you're my knight? You looked him up and down. In black armor, huh? Eraserhead didn't immediately reply, but he gave a soft smile. Yeah, guess. Eraserhead wasn't a popular hero. That much was clear. No hero with any prestige on their head would even consider patrolling in your rundown neighborhood. Judging by his rugged yet handsome appearance, he only put some, not all effort into personal grooming. At least he smelled pleasant. Was that lavender? Once the pack of smokes was half empty, he climbed onto the balcony's edge, ready to leap over the building next to yours. Wait, will I see you again? You asked with hesitation, and he tilted his head to look at you. On to question. You gulped. Do you still hate yourself? Without really wanting to, you nodded. He sighed. Alright. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. He gave you a coquette smirk. Why not have a snack ready? Chocolate, maybe. Wouldn't mind some chicken tenders as well. And with that he jumped. You looked after him as he climbed up the other building's wall onto the roof. And you smiled. I guess it's a date then, you said to yourself.